This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
This is Financial Insanity, the show we're going to take the chaos of the market and turn into a clear path for your financial future. As always, I'm your host, Alex Dingman, alongside, as always, Scott McLean from McLean Advisory Group right here in Waretown. And Scott today is going to help us figure out if our portfolios are as safe as we think that they are. Are we just riding a risk roller coaster? We're talking about that today. And if you have questions about anything we discussed today, that number, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. But Scott's looking at your portfolio. Is it really safe? Important topic.
It is an important topic, Alex, and most people are totally unaware. The biggest mistake I find with seniors is they really don't understand, and or other advisors that are in the growth mode, they don't understand the risks that come with the difference between growth and income. And so I really wanted to hone in on this because people like to have that steady income. They like to have that ability and capability of knowing the check's going to show up on the first of every month when they go to the mailbox or they go to their bank account. It's showing up there. So I appreciate us talking about risk in 5 different areas I hope we're able to cover today, Alex. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. And Scott, when people think of their portfolio, do you think people are generally feeling like it's a safe bet or more like a Vegas gamble? What's your take?
Yeah, you know what? They do think it's a Vegas gamble, and that's a really great question. The market really can sometimes feel like a casino, but the difference is with the right strategy, you don't have to leave it all to chance. One key factor to look at is called beta, which is essentially the risk or the heartbeat of your portfolio. If it's too high, you might be in for a bumpy ride. So obviously you are expecting the unexpected, but you want to be optimistic. But are you going to be consistent? That's the key.
And Scott, for folks, maybe they're investing for growth, others looking for consistent income. And what's really the difference? And how does somebody decide what's the better route for them?
You know, we spoke about this before. If our listening audience might remember, I like using analogies. I call it the chicken and the egg. It comes to mind. Think of it as the chicken as your stock, your bond, your preferred, your BDC, your MLP, your portfolio. And so, of course, think of the chicken, that's vehicle, and the egg is the dividend. And an income portfolio is designed to make eggs. And the eggs could be by way of dividends or interest. Now, provide a consistent source of income. Yes, that's what we're looking for in that type of investment, the income portfolio. You can collect those eggs and enjoy them, or you could reinvest them by buying more chickens, which means more eggs down the line. So you don't need it now, but maybe you want it down the line. This is a great way to design and tailor-make a portfolio. And, of course, the educated audience out there that's listening right now, that's called reinvestment of dividends. You've heard this all your life, but the question I want to make sure is sometimes the people don't understand that, and I want to keep it as simple as possible because, again, I want to have a lot of dividends coming in that can be reinvested. And this, depending what kind of market we're in, that's what's so important, Alex.
So it sounds like what you're saying, Scott, more chickens, more eggs coming with those chickens. That sounds like a solid plan.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. That's right. And cholesterol free. How about that?
There you go.
Now here's the difference, Alex. Most all people forget. In a growth portfolio, it's a way different story. You're not collecting eggs. You see, you're banking on the chicken getting bigger and bigger over time. This would equate to the growth stocks. small caps, mid caps, which are not designed for dividends, but if they do pay a dividend, the company's not going to pay it out. They're going to reinvest it in their company again to make their company grow. And that's what happens in a growth type stock portfolio when you have these tech stocks. And of course, if you need the income in this type of portfolio, you've got to start selling the chickens, the shares of stock in the portfolio, which will rapidly deplete itself if the market's dropping. Therefore, if the market's down, you've got to sell a lot more chickens, shares of stock, just to get the same income. We talk about that in my book, The Three Blind Mice, because we have an income portfolio that can last the rest of your life. Do you have that? I'm not sure. Now, everybody that is young, like yourself, Alex, and those listeners, maybe the children, they call it dollar cost averaging, where you put the same amount of money in and it grows, and it works. The challenge is when you get older, it's called reverse dollar cost averaging. Not many people are talking about that. And when you look at the portfolio, the beta, the risk factor, in a rising market, everybody's happy, Alex. I know you're happy. You see your portfolio going up, everybody's happy and having a celebration. But in a downturn, you could end up with fewer chickens and no eggs. And therefore, the portfolio evaporates quickly and possibly no chance of coming back because what? You sold off so many shares, and that's not a position anybody wants to be in. So I want to caution people, those that are 73, taking required minimum distributions, may just be in that position, and you're totally unaware of it. You could be in a growth portfolio selling off shares of stock, Alex.
That number, if you are maybe concerned or have questions about how some of this volatility from the past month or so might be affecting your portfolio, that number, 609-488-4646 for Scott McLean, the team at McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. And what should people be thinking about, Scott, when they hear about this market volatility, the ups and downs? And I mean, how worried should people be about these potential losses?
Well, I would hope they have for those do-it-yourselfers, a good tolerance for risk. But sometimes when you're feeling more nervous than excited, it might be a sign your portfolio's beta, risk factor, is too high. The volatility can be thrilling for some people if you're at a theme park.
Yeah.
But when it's your retirement, Alex, savings, well, if that's on the line, maybe you're not so excited. So again, it's the person's internal core. Can you handle it or not handle it? But then on top of that, I've got some people calling in and say, Scott, I'd like to buy some these fancy tech stocks, NVIDIA or maybe Carvana went from $4 to $150. These stocks, it could be taking off, but these could be wonderful when you're making money. But could they go back down where they started from? Yes. So again, you might want to think about lowering the risk factor. We spoke about it before, jumping off the diving board, a high dive versus the ground level, belly flops hurt. So lowering the beta can really bring some peace of mind to many of you out there listening right now. That's right, you. You may be worried about whether it's what time of year it is. It could be election period. It could be interest rates changes. And you're really maybe losing sleep. Well, how do we not lose sleep? Well, that's where people give our studios a call. And they ask, Scott, can we get together? How can I get some assurances? 609-488-4646 is there for you. By the way, that's our website.com. Again, why is it there for you? Because then you'll speak to myself or George. Our whole team is designed to really, how do we help you design a portfolio that you can relate to, that you can sleep with? A lot of people want 10, 15% rate of returns, especially back in the 80s. But I can promise you this, especially 1990s to 2000, the market was screaming and no one talked about income. They talked about growth. Well, you want peace of mind when the market dropped from 2000 to 2003, when the market dropped almost 50%, or from 2007 to 2009, where it dropped almost 63%. If you want peace of mind, figure out what risk level you can have. Find out what your portfolio, the beta rating is. That's why people give our studios a call or they come in to visit with us on a one-to-one basis. And I'd love to talk to you off the air, 609-488-4646. Don't put your head on the pillow when it's so in your face. And you could take action, Alex. That's what people should do. I really believe that.
Yeah, and you've mentioned it a few times for folks, and I want to make sure we're not going too high level, but the idea of beta, I know it's something that you feel like maybe isn't discussed enough. Maybe somebody's out there, maybe they have an advisor or somebody who's assisting them, and they haven't heard about this or discussed it. If you could spend just a little bit of time there on the idea of beta and why that's so important.
Understanding beta, I won't go in the woods. Let's talk about riding a bicycle. You've got these big bicycles that have big fat wheels. And man, you could imagine yourself riding down the road. It's smooth. And if the road is flat and easy to ride and steady, that is wonderful. But if the road starts to get bumpy with lots of hills and dips, your ride gets a lot tougher. Right, Alex?
Yeah, of course.
And you've got to work much harder to stay balanced. You may have to stand up in your pedals so you don't get the bumps in your butt, but it's not as comfortable. Now think about the road as a stock market. The flat road means the market is stable, not going up and down. It's kind of boring and steady eddy. People love that. But bumpy road means the market goes up and down. It's a lot more volatile. So beta is like a measure of how the bumpy road is in your investments. If the portfolio has a high beta, that means your ride is going to be bumpy, could be very bumpy. Now that could be good for some people, but not everybody. It will go up and down with the market. If it has low beta, your ride is smoother with fewer big ups and downs. So again, if you don't like the bumps, you want a smoother ride, you really want to look at your portfolio to lower the beta. But if you're okay, some of the bumps you might think's okay could really change your destination faster to the good or the bad. So again, let's understand that. And again, the key is knowing how much bumpiness you can handle before you want to get off that bike and say, I'm not getting on again.
Right. 609-488-4646, the number for Scott and his amazing team at McLean Advisory Group right here in Waretown, New Jersey, serving Ocean County and beyond. Again, that number 609-488-4646. This is Financial Insanity. Thanks for joining us.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.
Get all this stuff and you try to put it away like these hoarders on TV. It has an emotional attachment.
So, Scott, you're saying I don't have to keep every single drawing that my son has done? You're saying I could throw some of that away?
The answer is yes. You can take a picture, then throw it out.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Well, it's been true forever. Women statistically outliving men now to by about 6 years. So there's going to be a lot of wives out there outliving their husbands in retirement. It means a lot of women suddenly taking over their own finances for what may be the first time in their lives. And can be confusing, could be scary for anybody. And we're going to talk about this today. Alex Dingman here alongside Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group right here in Waretown and serving Jersey Shore area. And Scott, you know this, obviously dealing with folks over the years, and it's a scenario you see, unfortunately, played out quite often, I'm sure.
I go back to Adam and Eve. I mean, she's the one who handed him the apple, and she took a bite first. So the payment was childbirth pain, and you got to live longer than the guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just kind of added that in there. Women are living a lot longer. Statistically, it's real. You see more women out there that are retired with their lovely husbands. They come in, they meet with us, they meet with other advisors, and pretty much usually this is not being any bias at all. But the men usually ask the question. What I love is when I try to get a woman engaged, because inevitably, like my mom, she will be the last one on the Richter scale,
Sure.
Around the ropes, handling things. Usually, this is not. Again, please don't send me hate letters, or if you're woke, please don't cuss at me. I'm just saying, in my line of business, I want to be real clear, because women need to know how certain investments work. And what I noticed many times, as my mama did, is Daddy handled the bills. My dad handed my mom the bills and said, "Joan, I want you to take care of this." And Mom was doing the bills, and she came and questioned my father. What Daddy say? "Well, you're handling them." Wait a minute. Whoa. We need to work together. You see, what I find so many times when I work with families, whether they're married and the husband and wife comes in, or maybe it's a partnership. A couple of lovely ladies, a couple of lovely men, and they need to put, one is usually more financially literate than the other. That's just usually how it happens. But the challenge is, when one passes away, how do we change things? And what decisions need to be made? And this is where the wolves in sheep clothing come out to confuse, to change things around, to make themselves look wonderful, just to get a sale. And then they get a sale and they're gone. Let me help you out. This is where you need to understand how certain products work, and you can dummy it down. That's why when I put it in my book, The Three Blind Mice, how the financial planning process leads your money to a mousetrap. The reason I put that in there is because people can get confused of income sources versus growth sources. And I usually want people to understand, when you're running the bills, what do you need on a monthly basis? Will you outlive your money? Will you live on cat food? I hear all the time, "Scott, I don't want to live on cat food if my husband dies or my wife dies." What happens on the pension options? I see people picking pension options without considering all the options on the table, and they choose the highest pension option, leaving the spouse with 50% or zero, not knowing that the Social Security is going to be taken off one side or the other, and they're going to have a lower income. So we need to plan a couple different ways, Alex. Both living, but with that in mind, who's going to die first? And you play a scenario. Let's say the spouse and then the other spouse. We have two people, let's say husband and wife. And if your partnership is two partners, okay, I don't want to pick on either side. And so one of your partners or spouses dies, leaving the other one there. You lose the Social Security benefit. And if it's a pension option and you chose a 100% option, nothing to your spouse, well, then we have a problem. Or 50%. So this is going to change the dynamics drastically. Maybe you need to be thinking about a reverse mortgage. Now, don't scream. I hear somebody out saying, "Oh, I can't believe he said that. Don't say reverse mortgage." Whoa, time out, cuz. For some people, it could be a lifesaver. I'm not pushing either one because I don't sell them, but I do know them. I was a mortgage broker licensed at one time, and I can tell you it could be a really very wonderful tool for a limited amount of people. So again, when we look at income, both husband and wife, both partners, if you're just dating a new person, you're all fixing living together, okay, we need to talk about those situations and what if and where and what situation comes up. And so, Alex, you're out there and this is you, and maybe you have some questions. Alex, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I would love you to give us a call at our studios, and Bonnie will make a time for us to speak to, 5 or 10, 15 minutes off the air. No cost, no obligation, just as our give back in the McLean Advisory for so many years here in Waretown, New Jersey. Heck, I've been doing this business since 1982, licensed in 83, so right here in Ocean County. And I can tell you, if you have questions, we have answers. And if I don't have an answer, I'll be humble. I will find answers. I know a lot of people. I can promise you that. So please don't put this and hide this under your pillow and you'll get to it later. That's procrastination is the disease of ease. Please don't let that be in there. We all have the disease of ease. We all know working out and going to the gym is good for you. But do you do it? The disease of ease. Give us a call off the air if you'd like to speak to me. I'd love to speak to you. 609-488-4646. And if you don't like me, why don't you ask for George? He's a younger guy, so he hears the same thing. George is a great advisor, CFP, and been with our firm for many, many years. 609-488-4646. I'd love to help you. I promise you, you'll get some great information.
Focusing on retirement challenges for women today. And Scott, let's start with some of the differences that you've noticed over the years between how men and women approach retirement planning. And obviously, this is all general, but what things do men tend to be concerned about in planning for retirement? Focus on the men first.
Men are wonderful. They, if they love their wife or partner, they want to make sure they're solid, they're safe. They want to make sure that if they pass away, they've got a great income. But with that in mind, they now have to look at the rest of the story. Isn't that what Paul Harvey said? Let's look at the full story. So they really want to really captivate. They love their sweetie pie or honey bun or whatever you call it. And they want to make sure they're buttoned up nice and tight. But when you're shifting from the growth investments to the income investments, that is a new dichotomy. It's a new change in your brain. And it's very hard for people to understand that. So they need to understand how the investment tools work. Both partners or spouses do. On top of that, the husband wants to make a quick decision, but the women, what I've noticed, Alex, they are really paying attention to the words coming out of that financial advisor's mouth. And are they real? They have real good discernment. So this is why when I meet with people, I love meeting with both husband and wife, because the husband may have a lot of great, super questions, but the wife is looking at the advisor maybe totally different. And this is why it's so good. And by the way, if you're single out there, I encourage you, when I meet with people, maybe you bring in your son or your daughter or your sister or brother. Bring in another set of ears. Don't go it alone. This is not a game of do it over because you have one retirement. That's it. So this is an area you cannot make big mistakes. And that's why people call us. They want to meet with me off the air or on the air. They say, Scott, what about this investment? How does this work for me? And my husband said I did this and he set everything up. He knows everything. He did a great job. But you know what? Looking at it with a different set of eyes is critical because he might be more aggressive than some of you women out there. And more women are more conservative. That's how God made you. That's just the way it is. Almost when you're having a baby, you have the instincts of getting the bedroom ready, getting the nursery ready, getting everything else ready. Where the husband's out there, I got to make money. I got to make money. I got to take care of this. So we both have our brain going crazy. You need to talk to your sweetie pie and let's get together. And when you have these questions, write them down. This is so important. 609-488-4646. Write that down. 609-488-4646. If you've got questions, let me help you. Let me try to guide you. Doesn't mean you have to work with me, but if you got a couple questions, you want to call me off the air, Bonnie will make a way for us to speak. I can tell you this is really important when you're planning your retirement, or maybe you're heading into retirement and you need some game plan. Give our studios a call, 609-488-4646. But that's about men. They want to, their job is to go out and kill the deer and skin them, and the wife's job is, or the spouse's job is to clean them. That's the men. But what about women? They're different, Alex.
Yeah, and what about the women, Scott? What do they seem to be more concerned about when you meet with folks when it comes to retirement? Went over the men. What about the women?
I love the women because, they are more conservative. They have the brain of, I don't want to make 20%. I like to make steady. I'm the tortoise and the hare. She or the partner is going to be maybe the voice of reason. I'm not saying women are all voice of reason, but I'm just saying there might be the voice of reason saying, I don't think we should take that much risk, honey. I think we should really pay attention to our dynasty, our will, power of attorney, our living will. Let's pay attention to the investments. I don't want to take that much risk. And here's why. I remember in 1988, 89. I remember 1986. I remember 1990. I remember my grandma and grandpa in the year 1920. They were talking about 1929 to 1934. They have the memory of saying, I don't want to go down that road. I want to know that when I grab my keys to the RV and I'm traveling around, I want to know there's income coming in. I don't care if you make 20%, 30%. I want to know if I'm getting that steady stream of income like when you worked. This is retirement. When you put your head on your pillow, you wake up in the morning, you don't have to see CNBC or Fox or a Bloomberg. You can see the beautiful sky and everything God has laid out before us, the beautiful wilderness as you visit the wonderful United States of America. And as you travel, you focus on yourselves, not on the dollar. And this is enjoyable retirement, Alex.
Absolutely. And Scott, we're focusing on retirement challenges for women. Mentioned up front, women statistically outliving men by about 6 years. So this is something that you got to factor in when you're doing that retirement planning. And before a quick break, Scott, one more time, give that number out and encouraging folks to get a hold of you if they need you.
I'd love to speak to you guys. If you'd like to give us a call, I have a tremendous office. You will love our staff. Give us a call at 609-488-4646. Ask for Bonnie. She will make it happen. 609-488-4646. We get so many calls, Alex, because of the work you do, Alex, and your firm. You do a wonderful job help putting this together. But if you're out there and you have a question, don't put this on the shelf. Write your question down. Then call us at 609-488-4646 because those questions may go out of your mind, especially if you got dementia. So write them down now. How about that? And I can promise you we will have a nice discussion together.
Absolutely. And, it's one thing to come up with how you would spend your perfect day in retirement, but what happens to that ideal day and those retirement plans when your spouse is also retiring? We're going to talk about that coming up. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean of McLean Advisory Group.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646.
Investment advisory services are offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Retirement planning, investment planning is a two-way street. It's got to meet. I need to understand the good, bad, and ugly you've been through so we can avoid those issues. This, to me, is very important.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Talking today about some of the unique challenges women face in preparing for retirement. Scott, I want you to listen to this and react here. GoBankingRates.com has a list of financial challenges women face in retirement. Gender pay gap is one. Historically and currently, women get paid less than men. That's an issue. Lack of financial confidence. Women tend to be more conservative, less confident about their financial experience and expertise. longer lifespans. We talked about that. Caregiving responsibilities. Women more likely to have to take some time off from their career or work to care for a loved one or raise children. And also greater financial fallout from divorce. Costly divorce can negatively affect a woman's ability to build a healthy long-term balance sheet after the marriage ends.
Real.
I mean, this is all stuff that I know, experience over your time.
Alex, it is. And yes, women are living longer. That we know the statistics generally. And of course, by looking at I've also noticed a caregiving relationship. So many of our clients, the spouses will take care of their husband's mom or dad. They take off work. They lose their income. And they could be making a very substantial income, but the caregiving nurture of women, I guess that's where God put in their hearts. And I'm not saying men don't have it. I'm just saying women have this caregiving in their heart that I just don't have the patience for that. I mean, and I can tell you, I guess you could call me, you can make fun of me, but boy, I see people take care of their husband's family members and then they have to sacrifice their retirement. This lovely couple came in and they said, Scott, do we have enough money to retire on? I said, well, tell me your situation. They tell me, oh, yeah, in my back of my mind, oh, this is a piece of cake. Yes. I said, is there anything outstanding in your life right now that you have to take care of? You have any special needs children, or maybe you have either one of your parents still alive and what's going on? And they say, well, yes, we're taking care of our father. Oh, and what does that look like? And then they go on. My brain starts calculating numbers faster than a calculator could ever go. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we see a problem in Dodge as the space astronauts want to retire. Are they going to land safely or not? And so these questions are really important. So these women are really helping out, and men as well. But I guess the challenge is the fallout from divorce. You brought that up as well.
Yep.
And they don't know it. And all of a sudden they're in the middle of a divorce, or maybe the husband or the wife picks up and leaves. That changes everything. And no, people don't want to talk about it, but we need to talk about it. And so usually when I'm meeting with the individual woman and didn't want to bring her husband in, or maybe the husband didn't want to bring his wife in, either one, I have to ask that question. Is everything going on at home? What's going on? See, it's not about money right now. It's about lifestyle, which ends up about money. And so I need to understand the dynamics. And this is where it's so important, Alex. We talk about the 3D approach, the dreams. Well, the dreams can turn to disaster if you're going through taking care of your mom and dad or your children. Could turn to disastrous by getting divorced. Or maybe one of you are starting to get Alzheimer or dementia. And maybe one of you have to change and stop work and start to retire sooner just to take care of your loved one. We have a beautiful client in Florida where she is retired. She was a airplane stewardess, lovely lady, and she actually took off her stewardess hat, and now she became a full-time caregiver for her husband. And you know what? Her whole life has changed. And she said, Scott, I didn't think it'd be like this, but it is. And I'm going to stay there. What amazing things out there. But again, so when we do a financial plan, I don't like financial plans that are specifically, here's a plan, follow it. Because you know what? Those things change so quickly. I think it needs to be a fluid financial plan because life has a way of changing quickly, abruptly, and sometimes very often very disastrously. And so how do we plan this out and give us our best? So I think this is really important. We think about the factors that women are facing.
Yep.
And because we want them to enjoy their lifestyle as well.
Yes. And if you have questions, if you're male or female, if you've got questions, as we're focusing on financial challenges women face in retirement, the number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Scott McLean, his team at McLean Advisory Group, here to help any couple with their financial picture, and especially when you start looking at, okay, what happens if maybe one of those folks is not around, and maybe that person was the person who was taking care of the finances. And Scott, another number here, and you hit on it, and it's very important. Department of Labor says 58% of long-term caregivers are female. So not a huge, in favor of women, but it is a little bit there, 6 out of 10 basically.
Yeah.
And so, you're going to have to cut back from your job. You're going to have less ability to save. You might have to dig into those savings. I mean, Scott, I know you see this happen. Can somebody like that get back into place for retirement?
It can, but it's gonna require really, I call it a come to Jesus meeting. When I come to Jesus meeting, we talk about let's face the facts, the real facts. So I think what I notice in facing the facts is how long will the person last? Is this going to be a 1 or 2 year thing? Is somebody going to pass away real quick? How much time, effort, and energy is going to take? We also think about, on top of that, is what do you have to sacrifice? What do you have to give up? And everyone in every situation, there's always a sacrifice somewhere when it comes to sickness or disability or lack of savings. For example, when I speak to some people, we talk about veterans benefit. And so many veterans and or spouses of veterans are unaware that there's a benefit out there if they serve during wartime. Listen to me carefully. If your husband or wife served in the armed forces during a conflict, there could be a nice check waiting for you on a monthly basis to take care of your loved one. In addition to that, in the state of New Jersey, there is long-term care place, Vineland, Menlo Park, Paramus, where you could go to a facility that for some people, if you set the money up, set up the right trust, now you could have free long-term care in a facility that's wonderful, like in Vineland, New Jersey. So again, I talk to our veterans' wives, husbands, the spouse of a veteran is for you, as well as the veteran. The question is what's available. So we need to look at all areas so we don't diminish or delete or evaporate money. And this is why when I speak to people, we've helped so many people, so many of our veterans in these areas. Now, if you're not a veteran, okay, that's fine. That's off the shelf. But we need to look at every single situation, any way possible. How can we reduce the money from evaporating your accounts, taking care of your loved one? And this is an art. I can promise you, it's not a set it and forget it. This could take some time. So there's some steps that you have to take. And that's being honest with yourself, being honest with your numbers, and then taking action.
Yeah, and something we talked about earlier, Scott, as women, about 40% of women investors identify as beginners. And so
Right.
I know you meet with these folks and you want to instill some confidence. Are there some things you can do to, kind of boost their financial confidence?
Yeah, there is actually. I don't need to talk at them or over their head. I know this business pretty well, Alex. But that doesn't mean they do. I don't need to show how fancy I am in my 3-piece suit, which I don't wear anymore, but I don't need to pull out my abacus and run numbers because they may not understand them. I need to relate to them and show them in writing the game plan. And so when the people come in with me, I actually go to my board and I put it in writing, right in front of them on writing. This is how it could work. This is what it looks like. Are you resonating with me? Do you understand? And then what I do, which is, I don't mean, and again, I always tell people I'm not demeaning you in any way. Can you repeat back what I just said to you? Can you tell me how this works?
Mm-hmm.
So I understand if I did a good job or a bad job. There's nothing worse than having a coach yell at you, but you don't know what the heck he's yelling at you for.
Sure.
This is not a time for a lecture. This is a time for a conversation because this is your life.
Absolutely. And Scott, you know that throughout the years that there's so many things that go into a comprehensive retirement strategy. And today we're focusing on challenges for women, but there are things for everybody out there. And for couples, things that you have to think about, especially when it comes to, hey, maybe I'm the person who is usually taking care of finances or maybe not. And so what does that mean if the other person were to pass away or otherwise be out of the picture? And so so many things to think about. And then the unknowns, you make plans, God laughs, right? Because of anything that can happen. And so that as well. And so, Scott, it's really about people just saying, hey, I'm gonna get with somebody who can look at my situation, help map out a strategy, and so that maybe I feel a little bit more comfortable, or at least you have another partner in the ride.
I think about when you said this is as you walk, the book I love reading, the walk through the valley of shadow and death, you fear no evil. Why? Because the rod and the staff, they comfort me. Well, I guess I'm asking those of you, who is your rod and staff? Who can you lean on who have been through this journey? Who has been there so that they may have to pick you up and help you through this challenging time? And they've been through this time and time again. They've helped hundreds and hundreds of people, and they can say, look, we've been there. We've helped people. We can walk you through it. And this is the game plan. How great would it feel? Almost like a flashlight in a dark hallway. Now the light turns on, even though you're not out of the hallway yet, or maybe out of the tunnel, or maybe in the valley. Do you have that rod and staff? Do you have that flashlight? Do you have someone you can lean on and say, you know what? I need to call Scott. I need to find out what the heck is he talking about. I need that rod and that staff or that flashlight to lean on to see if we're in a good position so I can take action. There's nothing worse than procrastination, because that is the evil that lurks before us. We think we can do it on our own. Well, this is where giants stand on other giants' shoulders, Alex. And if you're out there and this is you, and you need that rod and that staff, you need that flashlight of hope or that guidance, please feel free to give our studios a call. We're here to help you. 609-488-4646. Now, what does that mean? You call me at 609-488-4646, and we'll have a nice conversation. I promise you, I will not try to sell you, beg you, or try to push anything on you. I need to understand your dreams, which will lead to your dollars, which could end in a wonderful dynasty, giving you the flashlight, the rod, the staff to go through this valley that you may be going through right now, and you just need some comfort. I'm here for you, 609-488-4646. Don't put it off. Love to hear from you.
That is Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. This is Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.
I call it the chicken and the egg. The chicken is the investment. The egg is the dividend. And so when the chicken pops out the eggs, if you don't need the money, let's reinvest the eggs and buy more chickens.
Man, that's just an excellent analogy, Scott.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group.
Lots to think about when you're heading into retirement. One of those things is whether or not you should continue working. This is the retirement yay or nay segment. So, a survey by Express Employment Professionals staffing agency indicating 79% of workers between 57 and 75, 79%, nearly 8 out of 10, say they would rather be semi-retired rather than fully retired. Scott, does that make sense? And what are some possible pros and cons to this kind of approach?
What a crazy statement. I remember I laughing because I'm thinking about mom and dad. And I remember when daddy retired, And he calls me up. I'm in New Jersey. He's in Florida, in Jacksonville. And he says, son, I got to get a job. I said, but Daddy, you're retired. Son, I want you to understand I love your mother. I just can't be around here all day.
Hey, you got to be honest in relationships,
And I started laughing. I didn't understand. I was a lot younger than I am now. And, good thing mom and dad are in heaven hanging out waiting for me.
Heck yeah.
Got good news. They can wait. But that stays in my mind when you made that statement, because first of all, I don't know how people can turn the engines off. Me, I'm looking at expanding my firm, but other people are enjoying their retirement. God bless everyone. The question is, when you retire, the hard challenge is, should you keep working? Well, find something. If you love your job, then frankly, you're not working. That's me. I don't have to work. We're blessed enough. I love our clients. I love people. I will continue to work until God calls me home, as far as it looks right now. And luckily, he hasn't called me. The second thing is, other people maybe want to try a different vocation. Maybe they go from being a nurse, a doctor. Maybe they're a toll collector. Maybe they're a sanitation engineer. Well, that's okay, but they want to do something else and they want to find something. So maybe they want to work. So I can't answer that question for anybody here, but dadgummit, my best friend in Jacksonville, Florida, Dale, always makes fun of me because I want to work 100 miles an hour. That guy could sit in his yard, sit around the campfire and have a couple adult beverages and enjoy life. Good old Southern boy. We grew up since age 6. And he always makes fun of me and teasingly because I'm 100 miles an hour. Difference of personalities. Dale likes to rake his yard. I like talking to clients. I can afford someone to rake my yard, but I love talking. So what is your vocation? Don't just leave to leave. There's got to be a compelling reason. Maybe you want to travel with your beautiful spouse or husband, wife, and maybe you want to take a trip. Maybe you want to take care of dogs and or cats, and maybe you want to get in that. Maybe you want to go out and maybe start a lawn service part-time because you love taking care. I don't know what it is, but I can tell you, you better have some type of game plan, because you could be watching Prices Right, and that crap gets older, I can tell you. For sure. So let's say you're 65 years old. You want to go from company A and you have a 401k, and you want to go to company B and it has a 403b. Well, and you love your work. One mistake I found is you roll the money over to an IRA. Now, why would that be a mistake? Well, maybe you plan on working a long time. Maybe you should roll it over to the new company if they accept it, so you don't have to take the required minimum distributions at 72. Now, frankly, if you don't think you're going to be working until 72, then you roll it over to an IRA, and you've got a lot of universal products that you could buy or get involved in to protect your money. In these times right now, whether they're good times or bad times, you need to invest that money. So the question number one is, if you're going from job A to job B, should you roll over the money to a plan? Next thing is what choices they give you. This is really important. And in retirement, you know what? If you love what you do, find something else. Speak to your spouse or a significant other. If you're by yourself, maybe you want to go mountain climbing or water skiing like my sport, or just hang gliding like I did. I can tell you there's a lot of fun things, but you got to figure out what you're going to do, and what kind of fun is it going to be?
Maybe you need a first opinion. Maybe you need a second opinion about whether you should keep working, how much in retirement. Either way, Scott can be reached at 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646 at a.com for the website. So earlier, we'll just call it 80% of workers between 57 and 75 said they'd rather be semi-retired rather than fully retired. So Scott, is this just the end of retirement as we know it?
No. And I think the biggest thing is, and when we spoke about, Alex, is, I forgot to bring up the health coverage. The insurance is before you leave work. You may just want to stay there and get the health coverage because maybe you're 63 years old.
Sure.
And Medicare is not kicking in until 65. And the health insurance could be as expensive as ever. So I forgot to bring that up as a downside of retiring. Maybe you get a part-time job that offers health benefits. This could be beneficial. And what if you have a wonderful spouse who has no health coverage, or like my conversation, we were putting a trust together for a client, and they have a special needs son he's on the insurance. Well, that's a whole nother world on the area of part-time or full-time, whatever. Now, other areas of part-time work, Alex, I'm not sure, but you think about taking Social Security too early. Should you take it or not too early? Should you keep working? And so I don't want to leave that out. I think I might have left it out a little bit before. I hate to. There's so many choices that could drive your money in the ground, and especially if the stock market is dropping, it could really cannibalize your assets and make you have to work.
Well, and Scott, people generally are healthier, generally living longer, and therefore could possibly have a longer retirement. Where in the past, 10, 20 years, maybe it's 20, 30 years. And so you have to account for that, Scott. And that's just a longer amount of time, obviously, to have a steady paycheck or something there to fill that gap. And so that's what makes this so interesting. You don't want to just retire, have nothing to do for a lot of reasons. Financial is definitely one of them, but also, like you hinted to earlier, a lot of it's just mental as well, and your physical health, and giving yourself some purpose and keeping that brain sharp.
That's so important. The purpose. Maybe the purpose is those of you right now that are in or near retirement. Maybe you're in retirement. You need to find a new hobby. You need to try a new sport or maybe a new venture. Maybe you need to try go out, you and your significant other or spouse, or meet new friends, be around people. Don't just cavitate yourself, lock yourself into your room. Just get out and enjoy what we've been so blessed with, this beautiful country. I mean, we could talk about the Democrats and Republicans and get all stuck in the muck and not enjoy life. This is disastrously depression. Leave the politics aside and just be a friend. Just love on people. We're allowed to have our own opinions. And when people aren't allowed to have their own opinions, get away from those people. If they don't respect you, then you don't need to be around each other. We all need respect. And especially times like this, coming out of the COVID area, coming out of the, being isolated. Oh my gosh, it is so many devastating things that are come down the line because of this. Get out and meet people, understand what you're doing. But again, as you said, be very careful with your money, because we're living a lot longer. And by taking out too much money in the go-go years, are you going to have enough money in the slow-go years? Are you going to run out of money? And we talked about that in several of our shows, Alex, called reverse dollar cost averaging, where you have to pull a lot more money out. You have to sell a lot more shares just to get the same income. So positioning your money to last a longer time so you have a income that will last the rest of your life. That's why people call us at our studios. Scott, how can I have that income that will last the rest of my life so I can put my head on my pillow and say, I can sleep well at night? 609-488-4646. I'll be able to talk to you if you'd like and maybe help you with some of those areas of concern. I'd love to talk to you. 609-488-4646 before you make the arduous decision. Where do you invest? Should you retire, not retire? And what are your options? There's a lot to discuss, Alex. Guys, I was thinking about this gentleman who went back to work to celebrate his 100th birthday. This one guy in Jersey, however, decided to do exactly the opposite. His name is Bill Hansen, and he celebrated his 100th birthday by returning back to his work, which he diligently for 32 years loved. And so Fred Hutchinson, the CEO of Hutchinson Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, well, he signed an agreement to go back to the work for one day. And he welcomed with a big birthday cake and a full day of assignments. He loved it. And he took off about 15 minutes after we signed the agreement. He said the agreement, he got to work, and the Hutchinson said he had to spend a lot of time where he could be at the company before he retired at age 97. He didn't have much to say for retirement life. He said, quote, I hate being retired. I never had a job where I didn't want to go to work in the morning. Hansen said, and he attributes much of his happiness in life to his love of his work, his wife, and his family. You see, for retirement, it could be forever. But what is your forever? Is it working? Is it enjoying life? It's about what you have and the quality of your life. Quality of your life, psychologically we spoke about, emotionally, And financially, can you do it? Make that decision. I'd love to talk to you. 609-488-4646. This is important.
This radio program may contain information which has gone regulatory or other significant changes since its original recording. The information and views expressed on today's show is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment, product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities.
This radio show is a paid placement.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.